For 15 years, I have been part of the same complex equation, which I believe almost all of you here are part of that too. It's called digital product management. Do you know what's intriguing about it? It doesn't matter where you are. Common traps are just ahead of you. If you're a software engineer, product manager, head of products, UX designer, they're just challenges ahead of you. When I started my career around 15 years ago as a software engineer, it didn't take long for me to get a nickname, Mr. Y. Every day, I would get a list of requirements and features. I had no idea what they were for, so I kept asking questions, and I kept getting no answers. When I got something, they were very unconvincing, to say the least. Some things like, because business said so, because we have a deadline to meet, or because sales promised that to a customer. Something was about to change. I got a chance of being a product manager, and I thought, I can make this game different. I had one goal, a very small one, at least I thought so. I would like to ensure the teams would start talking about the problems customers have, and together we would craft valuable solutions, no more than that. I was very naive. I hit the wall. Almost all business stakeholders would come to me precisely with their wants, and only a few of them would tell what they needed. The hard way, I learned that business stakeholders want tend to go in a little bit different direction than end users' needs. But you know, life is surprising. I got a new chance to be a head of product. And then I said, now I get this game right. I will ensure that teams will have outcome-oriented roadmaps. And then they are empowered to uncover problems that are worth solving. And finally, they can craft valuable solutions that users care about. Yeah, but life's not that simple. I had to fight day in and day out against prescriptive roadmaps, output mindset, timelines, and all of these wishes. The truth is, sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I failed. And after all of these years, what I recognize is the following. There are many traps ahead of us, and that doesn't matter. What matters is how we deal with them. I have been reflecting. What is the real challenge of doing product management? And the challenge of doing product management is doing product management. Almost everyone around you is going to push you in different directions. And almost no one is going to support you in doing what you have to do. It's easy to end up in a situation that you are doing anything but product management. And then I have a question for all of you here. Are you doing product management or bullshit management? But I'm not here today to make you feel powerless. I'm not here to complain and to say there are many traps there and we cannot do anything about it. I am here today to equip you for change, to make the product road a little bit better. By the end of this talk, I hope you leave here inspired to do something different, to challenge the status quo, and to overcome the anti-patterns. So, let's rock the product road together. Let's start talking about what do I call as bullshit management. Something very simple. The word is strong, I know that, and you may think you don't have it. But the truth is all over the place. And I say that bullshit management is anything that got in your way and distract you from doing what creates value. And I talked about equation. And this is a very simple equation. The more bullshit you handle, the less value you create. And funny enough, it is full of bullshit ahead of us. I'll give you some examples, and I will tell you how you can escape from them. What is the first one? Very classic. What is the real role of a product manager? A waiter. You go, you ask your stakeholder, what do you want to have today, sir? And then he'll say, I want this feature here. And they say, maybe you would like something on top of the feature or something else. And then you start behaving as a waiter. And then what do you do with the order you take? You take the order here, you walk. And then you go, instead of giving it to the kitchen, you give to the development team and say, do it. You have no idea why the guy wanted that, but that's what you are supposed to do. Well, gathering requirement is not the role of a product manager. The product manager is supposed to uncover problems that are worth solving and figuring out the context of the problem. And then you bring that to the team, not requirements, because as I said, the wants from stakeholders are not always the needs from end users. Need to differentiate that. What is another aspect? How big is your product backlog? Don't tell me you have hundreds of items, or maybe you have thousands. Once I heard something, a good product manager will keep the product backlog as full as possible. Well, I think this is bullshit. Because if you have an extensive product backlog, it is a sign that you are diluting your agile into a kind of waterfall again. So you're just splitting a big plan into smaller chunks, and you call it agile. I call it a water scrumfall. So having a big product backlog doesn't mean that you are doing the right thing here. Actually, it distracts you from doing what you should be doing. Sometimes I call it as the solution for this, the extreme backlog cleaning. I'll tell you a story. I'm from Brazil. I'm not sure if all of you know that. In Brazil, we're a bit lazy, so to say. And I'm not so good at dealing with complexity. So I always kept the backlog small. And then I moved to Germany. I don't know if some of you are German, so apologize for that. But Germans love knowing what happens the next 10 steps. And also, what happens if one of the next 10 steps go wrong. So you need to have a plan for that. And then I had the beautiful backlog in Brazil with around 4 dozens of items, less than 50 items. And I was responsible for 3 teams. I arrived in Germany, responsible for 1 small team, 4 people. The backlog had 1,767 items. 1,767 items. I panicked when I saw that. I said, what do I do with this? There were items there created 3 years before I arrived. I said, I don't know how to deal with this. I said, you know what? I will do what I think is right. I filtered out everything that was not changed over the last 6 months. I deleted. I deleted 1,200 something items. Guess how many emails did I get? 2. 2 emails. One from a QA saying, I think this bug still exists. And the other from a stakeholder saying, what the heck is that? And I said, I'm going to go wild now. I will delete everything not touched over the last 3 months. The backlog ended up being 100 items. I didn't get any email this time. So I had a space to learn. What about this one? How many reports do you create just for the sake of doing it? Once I joined a startup, I thought it was all about progress. fail fast, learn quickly, succeed. And then the CEO would tell me, I want to know who is the best performer developer and who is the weakest one. Because by the end of the year, we need to do like Jack Welch. The 10% that are not performing well, we're going to ask them to leave. I said, so you want to measure performance on person? I thought we were a team. And the sum of the individuals is bigger. And then he looked at me and said, no, I want to know how many star points each developer is delivering. I had to create a report for that. Took me a while. And then what happened? What happened that developers started looking at me, I need a ticket for the front end because otherwise I'm not going to burn star points. And the other would say, I need a ticket for the back end. I need a ticket for the QA. I said, are we changing the world or are we writing tickets? What is our job here? So be careful with the amount of reports you are creating that contribute to no value. So this one. What happens when you are refining items with the team? Engineer says something, UX designer said another, and product manager said another thing. And then we say, let's meet in the middle. Then everyone is happy. What is the result of that? A little Frankenstein. It's crazy that we strive for consensus sometimes because we're afraid of going into conflicts. The most important is evidence and expertise should always talk louder than opinions, but that doesn't happen all the time. I'll give you an example about searching for the best option. It always happened with me and my wife. We want to go for dinner, and she look at me and she say, I'm thinking, maybe I'm gonna wear high heels today, or shoes. What do you think about it? As if she would care. But then I say, well, comfort, let's go with the shoes. She said, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with high heels. I say, well, let's meet in the middle. High heel on one and shoes on the other. Then you walk like this. Consensus, good for both, right? Don't do that in product management. It's not going to work. Have you ever seen in your workflow a step called PO approval, PM approval? Okay, if you have that, just delete it. You don't need that. What it happens, the moment you have this, you put the product manager or the product owner in a higher level than the team because you need to sign off. And if you sign off, you are saying, I approve the quality. And then teams can be a bit sloppy because someone's going to check what they do. So that's not accountability. Teams commit to goals, and we have to reach goals, empower everyone. I had this column, PO approval. And I said, what is that for? I started my career. I said, okay, that's cool. I need to sign off things. I became the bottleneck. And I realized that I was the worst person testing things. And I was just signing off. And people were just saying, yeah, David is going to check that. So leave it for him. Instead of having this, what I told software engineers and also UX design, every 2 weeks we have a goal. So by the end of this cycle, we check if the goal is achieved or not and how well that happened. On the way, I'm available to talk to you. So we can talk and create that together. So instead of having a PO approve or something, I would just go to a software engineer machine and say, what are you working on? Share with me. And then we exchange, then we support each other. But you don't need to sign off. This is just gonna get in the way of collaboration. And I guess you don't want that. This one is tricky. After pandemic, something changed. What changed is we have unlimited space for meeting rooms, right? When I worked in the office, take the example of Germany again. It was a 4 floors building, 300 employees. And we had, I think, 10 meeting rooms. So there was limited space. So we would search for a meeting room. We don't find a meeting room. The meeting doesn't happen. But the work takes place. We got things done. We figure that out. Or we would solve simpler. Oh, I don't have a meeting room, but there's something I have to do. I'm going to go to the person, and guess what I'm going to do? I will talk to the person. But now what do we do? Whatever tool you use, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, whatever, you go there and say, find slot. And then you're going to find a slot and you put everyone there. And how does your day look like? A meeting marathon. Is that helpful? How many meetings you attend that just distract you? Or maybe you are in the meeting but not there. You start doing things in parallel. But still, you don't speak up and leave the meeting. So it's not something that will help you. This is very interesting. When I coach product managers, product owners, I like saying, you need to master the art of saying no. Say, initially, if you don't have a good reason to say yes, just say no. Say no 3 times. And, if it's important, people will come back to you for the 4th time. That was my strategy for a while. Can do better than that. Because if you only say no, maybe your boss start getting emails that you are the annoying person. One of my nicknames was Mr. No. It was Mr. Y in the beginning and then Mr. No in the second. Then there's a different way. You can help your stakeholders saying no to themselves when you ask questions. Instead of saying, why do you want that? Or when do you want that done? You can ask, how does that contribute to our current goal? How does that align with our product strategy? If I say yes to these, what am I saying no to? Help me understand. Make your problem their problem. What about communication? When I started my career as a product manager, the truth is very simple. I had no idea what a product manager was. The only reason I got this chance is because I wanted to improve my English. I went to an immersion course in Brazil somewhere. And by the end of this course, was 1-week course, I had to present something to show how my English developed. And I presented what I was working on as a software engineer. What I didn't know, there was a CEO in the room studying with me. And after the presentation, he talked to me, I have an opportunity here. And I want you to work with me. And I said, all right, what do you mean by that? I said, the truth is I'm a finance guy. And what these guys from IT talk, I understand bananas. I want someone who makes communication simple. And I think you can do it. So I have a job there, they call as product owner, product manager, something like this. I can put you there. I said, that sounds cool, but I don't know what that is about. He said, it is about bridging the communication between software engineers and the business. I said, I can do that. That's how I ended up being a product manager, bridging communication. So it took me a while to realize that was not my job. A good product manager will actually act as a catalyst. You will connect people and empower them to talk to each other. You avoid bridges because proxy communication will get you broken messages. What is the definition of a great product? I guess if you ask most of the people, they will tell you a great product is the one you have nothing else to add. Why do I say that? Because the only thing I hear is about which features are we missing? Which features can we add? Features, features, features. If you open google.com, how many features do you see in the home page? Or maybe you see something black or white, depending on how you set up your computer. For me, a great product is the one you have nothing else to remove. So it's not about adding features, it's about adding value. Be careful. I joined a startup recently. Yesterday, we had our first presentation to our customer advisory board. Guess what happened? The moment we were presenting, the demo environment crashed. I'm not a product manager anymore. So now I'm leading the team, and I was thinking, how do I ask the right question at this moment? I thought I will ask the question I wanted people to ask me when I failed some time ago. Said, something happened. What can we learn from it? And the team quickly told me, we learned we need to test before presenting to the advisory board in a serious way, not just opening things. So the team learned something from the failure. We are a very young startup, like 6 months. What is important about failures is they will happen. That's inevitable. You can pick a way of being risk averse and saying, what can we do to avoid the failure? Why did that happen? Then you ensure that people are conservative. They're not going to take any risk. Or you can say, what do you learn from it? And share the learnings with the others. This is the Netflix approach. What they say is, you shed a light on success. That's good. That's good. But on failures, you learn from it and you share with everybody in the company. Now, I want to learn from you. So I'd like to ask you to open Mentimeter, menti.com, and use this code. And then let's see, what is your reality? I hope it's working, the code. If it's not, you just tell me, I will check here. So I will just open here and you can see the code still, because I want to see if some answers are coming. Here. Yeah. So I see already some answers coming here. So the question is very simple. How often do you experience the following? So here's about the mindset. But the mindset you don't want to see. So the more you experience, the more chances you have. That's why you have a job, to change the world for the better. So output over outcome. Delivering features is the definition of success. Yeah. Opinions over evidence. Everyone has an opinion about anything. I have many opinions, but doesn't matter. What matters is the evidence I have. But if you ignore evidence, what generally happens is the people. The highest paid person opinion define what you do. What about roadmaps or embracing the unknown? Generally, when I'm consulting companies, the very first thing I ask is, show me your roadmap. Because in the roadmap, I can see how they think. If the roadmap is committing to features, then the team has only one chance of succeeding if they deliver the feature on time. And it's a bet, a very high bet, because you believe the feature is going to deliver the value. But if you commit to an outcome, you have the chance of exploring different solutions to get to the same result. Deadlines, most of them are arbitrary, most of them. They may set a constraint, but when we put hard deadlines, it's tricky. It doesn't help. It's more about trying to uncover the opportunities. That's more important. And the very last one here, as you can see, implementing solutions over solving problems. So here is a pretty substantial number here, 108. That's quite good. But you see, I would say you can look at this and say, we are screwed. But then you would be the victim. I don't want you to be the victim. I want you to look at this and say, wow, we can change it. We can do something about it once we understand it. Because then you can be the hero of your story and make something better, not the victim. I start talking about bullshit management. But the trick of this is like, this guy is not alone. He has a friend. I don't like the friend actually, but it has. There's something called the build trap. Maybe you have heard about it. I try picturing that to you. Then maybe it helps you understand. There's a company. There's a limited space and so on. And what does a company have? All companies will have different teams. Leadership, customer service, marketing, and so on and so on. And eventually, there will be product teams. And all teams have something in common. They have the most brilliant ideas in the world, all of them. So all teams have ideas. It's beautiful. They have many ideas. What do you do with all of that? You create a product backlog with all ideas. The product team will have to exchange with everyone here. So you're going to exchange, and talk and talk and talk. And eventually, something is going to get out of your product backlog. A very shining and beautiful new feature. Super beautiful. You are proud of that. If you look here, something missing in this puzzle. Something very dangerous missing here. But you're proud. You got something out of your product backlog. And then you present to your customers. And what happens? They look at you and say, huh? Because they don't understand. And they couldn't care less about it. You didn't get them involved. Is this 9 out of 10 ideas will fail? This is not me who is saying that. You may say, I didn't get this number out of nowhere. You can just Google that. The startup success rate. In 5 years, all startups that start today, only 10% will make it. The other 90% will disappear because the ideas were irrelevant. This is in a company level, but inside the company, the ideas are no different. So what is the question we have to ask? That's the question you have to ask. You need to understand how fast you can drop the bad ideas. Let me give you a common scenario. All the brilliant ideas in the beginning, what do? A common way is you talk about all of them forever. And then you pick one, only one, a beautiful one. And then you're going to design to a high fidelity prototype that management loves and approves. And after that, you're going to do user test. I would call this as the biased user test because you invested a lot on this. You have already fallen in love with the solution and you want to confirm it's the right one. You're going to do it. Guess what? You will find the confirmation it's the right one. Maybe you tweak here, you tweak there, and so on. And then you're proud of this. You give to the to development team. They will implement that. And then you put it live. Amazing, it's live. It's a shiny, beautiful piece of crap. What's wrong here? it's too slow. It will take you a while to get the right idea. If 9 out of 10 is going to fail, your competition is going to beat you dramatically. Or maybe a small one is going to destroy you. That's why this way doesn't work. We need to do something different. Cannot accept that. All right. I was already too negative. Let's move on. It's time to escape from this. We don't want to be there. We don't want to be in the bullshit management or so on. But the very important thing is to recognize the anti-patterns ahead of us. We just need to recognize them. For some time, I try to think when I'm interviewing company, which are the companies I want to go? I wanted to go to the ones that have the perfect role, but there's no perfect role. It's just about selecting the fights you want to pick. Now let's look at a different way of working. You have all the same brilliant ideas in the beginning. That doesn't change. You have all of them. But instead of discussing about everything for a long time until you commit to something, what about taking all of them and evaluate? You look at your product strategy, your product vision, and you ask questions. Yes or no? Does this contribute to my product vision? No. Ciao. Does this contribute to my product strategy? No. Ciao. Does this help me get to the goal I envision? No. Ciao. Then you have less now because you already dropped the ones unrelated to your goals. Say, all right, next step is I want to learn more about it. And to learn means you want to look at some aspects. What are the aspects? I call as the sweet spot. What is a sweet spot? You look at the different perspective. Customer, do they want it? Desirability. And then you look at technology, feasibility. Can we do it? And then you look at viability, business. Does it make sense for us? And then you realize some ideas, maybe it makes sense for the business. You can do it, but you don't have evidence customers want it. You drop it. Or makes sense for the business, customers want it, but you don't have the technology to do it. You drop it. And you keep learning. And then you realize, now I have a set of ideas, they are more promising. What do? Implement? No. You make small investments. You want to do experiments with end users and see how they react to that. So you do some prototyping, you do some 404 tests, painted doors, A/B tests. And here we're talking about tests that will take maybe hours, maybe days. As you gain evidence, you scale gradually. But some things you will quickly realize they make no sense. But then you are there with your one idea that is very promising. And then you move on. And what do? You launch. But at this time, it's going to work. It's very simple. You need to separate bad ideas from good ones. The bad ones, you put in the trash. The good ones, you put it live. The secret is using the product discovery for that. But here, you need to recognize your scenario. As I said, it's not perfect. Not everything is the way you want to be. That's okay. But the first thing is looking at your scenario. I told you, I cannot deal with complexity. I'm a very limited person. So I try looking at some characteristics. And for me, there are two very, very important ones. The level of empowerment the team has and the speed the team can learn. So let's say it takes a while for you to learn and you have no empowerment. Then feature factory. Because you keep shipping, put it live, someone outside the team is defining what you do, then it's a feature factor. In this case, you need help to influence, to start learning, and then to gain empowerment. But let's say You started learning now very fast, and you realize the features you created contributed to no value. You will be frustrated. But then you can influence because you have evidence. Now you have things to talk to leadership and so on, saying why that is not working. Sometimes it happens something quite interesting. The teams are so used to the feature factory and complaining and becoming the victim of the circumstance. The change management or something happen outside the team and they are empowered. And management starts saying, you can do it now. I'm giving you an outcome. Have you ever heard the term code monkeys? Software engineers want requirement and say, give me the requirement, I'm going to implement that. And they are also unwilling to explore the world because they want to be behind a computer coding. I call this as uninspired team. It's not only for software engineers. I don't want to be unfair. Product managers sometimes ask that as well. When I interview product managers, I always give them one case to interact. And I don't want them to work on the case before. I give and we work together. What I search for, are they followers or achievers? Some product managers, they ask me, what do you want to do? I say, I want to reach this result. I said, okay, how would you reach that? I said, okay, follower. Other product managers would say, what will happen if we do that? There are opportunities here and there and so on. We need to explore achievers. Then, the moment the team here is highly empowered and can learn fast, then you are the game changers. Then you can make things happen. Then you transform the world for the better. And now I want to hear from you if you have the right ingredients. Because it's like cooking. You may have the perfect recipe, but if you're missing some ingredients, you're not getting the best outcome of that. So please, once again, go to menti.com, and here is the code. We just open the new one here, and I put the code for you as well. You have it quickly here on the screen. I just get some water here. I'm talking a lot. Just a moment. Let's see what we're going to get. So here, very important. If you have a product vision and you don't remember that, you're going to put a 0. If you have a product vision and you use for sprint plannings and you use during your sprint review or whatever ceremony you have to plan and review, then you put a 5. Because here is how you use that. It's very important to recognize your scenario. I put here some names. And these names are the ingredients I say that you need to succeed in product management. And it's very important to have them done right, because if you don't, I will tell you what happens. If you remove product strategy, you have trouble prioritizing. You're going to talk a lot because you don't know what is most important now. Is it growth? Is it retention? Is it go-to-market? Is it early adopter? Who are we focusing on? You need to have a product strategy. And the product strategy enables you to do only one thing: focus. But the product strategy might be a bit broadened. When we say growth, it can be everything. What is the goal? Short term, 3 months. Maybe you want to grow within your country. Where do you want to grow? Provide context. Product goal will give you the idea, the context, and constraints. And about assumptions. I like to say, if you don't know your assumptions, then it's like gambling. Because we think we know best, and then we start implementing. That's going to be dangerous. When I do that, people start panicking. They say, oh my God, I'm missing everything. Where do I start? Theoretically, you start from the product vision, strategy, and so on. That's what most people would tell you. But if you are in this situation here, as I see, it will be very hard to start from the product vision. The tip I'm going to give you is a bit uncommon. Start from naming assumptions. That's the first one you need to do it. Because that's the one you can act. You're creating a feature, you ask, what are our assumptions? Very first one, we assume people are interested in that. Then you ask, which evidence do you have about it? Then you realize you don't. You say, this is a critical assumption, because if they are uninterested in this and it is business critical, it means we have to test it right now before implementing. So start from assumption, then you name assumptions, and you learn from failures. And guess what happens? Then you can talk to people and you can start creating the vision, the strategy, and the goals. That is generally the best part to start from the team. The others, you will require support outside the team. It's very important to understand your scenario, because then you can act. If you don't know, then you don't know where to start. If you have trouble defining how to start and so on, yesterday I decided to share all of my templates. I know you have a lot on your plate. It's very hard. I know that. Everyone has a lot to do and so on. And you may not know what to start. Google Product Vision, you will find at least 15 to 30 templates. Product Strategy, you will find more than 100. Which one is the best? I won't say I have the best, but I can say what worked for me. Because in product management, there is no such thing as one size fits all. But I shared yesterday on LinkedIn all of my templates, 17 to be precise. You can just get that. Apparently, people really love that. A post I did yesterday in the afternoon just to share. It reached more than 700,000 people. Maybe it helps you. So, you know, Agile is something that started long ago. It was 2002, more or less, 2001, something like this. If you think about the Agile manifesto, it was created by software engineers for software engineers. They were tired of the situation. It really got the job done back then. But I think the challenge we have today is different. The challenge we have today is about getting the product right. In the past, software was buggy and so on, and it was really a service provider relationship. I think we have improved that. But now, how to get the product right is missing. If you look at some of the principles of the Agile manifesto, one of the principles says that working software is the primary measure of progress. I doubt that. You can have something work and create no value. You can have many features work and do nothing. So this is very dangerous and outdated, I would say. I called that out because I was tired. I wanted to help teams. And then I formed a group because of this. You cannot avoid facing bullshit. That's just ahead of you. The question is, how do you deal with that? Are you equipped for change? Can you do that or not? Many times when I'm writing, I'm sharing my stories. I'm not embarrassed to say how many times I failed, a lot. But sometimes I imagine talking to myself some years ago, what would I like to know when I started my career? What didn't I know then? And then I start talking. And I realize that when I started as a product manager, I was really clueless. And I said, we need to give more power to people. And then I formed a group of people here. So the idea of the Agile Product Manifesto is to help people, that's that. So I wanted to get perspective from different industries, different countries, different challenges. So the group here goes from startup to giant corporations, from automotive to banking, healthcare, and so on. I got a group of people from all over the place. So, for example, Alex He's from the US. He works for Atlassian. We have Alexei, who is working on a competitor of LinkedIn in Germany. And we have other people here. So together, we discussed for many rounds what would be helpful for product people. And we want to create this for free. I have no interest in putting a certificate behind it because that's not the point. The point is helping people know what increase the odds of delivering value. That's all I wanted. And if you ask me the question, all right, what is the goal of this Agile Product Manifesto? Very simple. I just want to encourage people to step back from your busy routine and look at this and say, am I doing this or not? Does this take place here or not? Just reflect, because once you reflect, you have a chance of changing. Let me tell you about the product manifesto. So here are some things we value. The very first one is about simplicity. It's not about being perfect. It's about being simple. Done is better than perfect. Start like that. And you need to know the goals you are pursuing. Project plans are not going to help you. When I started as a head of product some years ago, everyone wanted a plan. I said, no, that's not the point. We need to have goals, and they need to matter. And you have to understand the problem. Problem space, solution space. If you don't understand the problem, what is your solution for? And also, end user needs are over stakeholders' wants. Because if the users don't need that, why should you bother? The last one, in a feature factor, you assume impact. How do you know if you're assuming impact? You jump to the next, and to the next, and to the next. But if you measure results, you will decide to drop features at some point in time. We have some principles of the Agile Product Manifesto. I will elaborate on some of them, and the others you can find on the website. I love this first one here. So there is this guy in the middle of everything called product manager, product owner, product lead, doesn't matter. Someone who will talk to people. This guy talks to many people. And guess what happens? They have requests. And then you have a choice to make. What do you say? You say yes. Then every yes you give is a new responsibility you take. And you keep doing the same. Yes, yes. And the product backlog keeps growing. But then you have another choice. Talk to more people, more requests. More people, more requests. Instead of saying yes, you compare to your goal and you say, no, I focus on the goal. Saying no doesn't mean putting on the bottom of the product backlog. It means doing nothing. You don't want to commit and create expectation. No is no. Don't bother about it. So you always have the choice of saying yes or saying no. And then what do? It's very important to know how to balance about it. This is one of the main principles of the product manifesto. Because if you say no, this will unlock the focus you need to deliver valuable solutions. Very important to keep saying no to distractions. And if you want to go this step further, help your stakeholders say no to themselves. What is another classical problem? Still related to the product backlog. Let's say you start here in January, and then you have a product backlog. What happens a quarter after? You talk to people, obviously. And then what happens? All of them have dreams and so on. New requests, old items down, new items up. And then again, now what happens? Guess what? More requests, new items up, old items down. What is the result of this? Everyone wants to run away because you have too much on your plate. And it will never be enough, never ever. But maybe you do this differently. You start with the same product backlog in January. A quarter later, you talk to people, you learn, and then you have this. You delete the items you don't need. Yes, you can delete. You can remove items from your product backlog. That's possible. And then new learnings in, old items out. Guess what happens later? You don't do the same. Delete things you don't need. And you keep like this. Inspect and adapt. And then you will remove distractions. That will be beautiful. This is one of my favorite principles. I like looking at this. You have the backlog item age. How do you deal with that? Maybe you treat like wine. That's the result, confusion. Or maybe you treat like milk. Then everyone is, backlog items age like milk, not wine. You need to keep it clean. Keep the backlog clean. That's very important. We have 12 principles there. I just elaborated on 2. You can go to the Agile Product Manifesto and then learn more about them. They are in a sequence for a reason. I will just tell you on a high level. You need to create value for end users and business. You need to know that. And then at some point in time, you need to reorient your action because you're going to get distracted. We are not perfect. We also get distracted. So reflect on your goals. And you know, as human beings, we dislike the unknown. It's risky. We're going to die. No, just embrace uncertainty. It's better to ask for forgiveness. Remember my amazing backlog in Germany, 1,767 items? Yeah, just do it. Master the art of saying no to distractions to keep you focused. You need to make the assumptions. And then this is something here I would change. We are reviewing the product manifesto. Validate is a bit dangerous. It gives you in a confirmation bias. I think you need to test. I was thinking if we put here, falsify them as fast as possible. But the point is, test them with a learning mindset. And very important is to understand that innovation is about taking risks. You have no chance to innovate if you don't take risks. Other principles. You need to know the business metrics, but it's beyond monetary results. That's not the only metric you need to have. Talked about it, the backlog item, the age like milk. Start with the end in mind. That is all about craft a go live strategy. Start with the end in mind and then you work backwards. But the end is not the project live. It's changing the lives of the others for the better. You need to know your customer and users. Customers are the one paying and the users using. Sometimes they're the same, but depending on the product, it will be different. Teams need to be cross-functional, end-to-end responsibility. And the last one we have here, this is on a passive. Product teams are empowered by top management. I also want to change this because it's passive. What I think is nowadays, we created this last year, so it's still a baby. Product teams need to earn empowerment. That's not a given. You need to fight for that. And once you do all of things before, you're going to change it. So if you want to benefit from this, very simple. Whatever you are, step back and ask questions. But let me tell you one thing. Don't try changing everything at once. That's not going to work. I learned that the hard way. I'll give you a final picture before I conclude the talk today. I used to be very idealistic, thinking on the perfect road. Imagine the top of the mountain. I would like to picture how beautiful is the sunset from the top of the mountain. And I would tell people around me, that's where we want to be, this beautiful, agile world. Guess what happened? They were in the bottom of the mountain. I had to shout very loud. No one listened to me. The truth is, if you want people to listen to you, you need to walk toward them and go where they are. And then you stand a hand and meet them one step ahead and take them on a journey, step by step. So here, if you recognize all of these principles missing, it's okay. Choose one and then start doing differently, step by step, not all at once. And then you improve gradually. Agile is an ultra marathon. It is not a sprint. It will take you years, not months. It's years to get to the top of the mountain. So embrace the journey. I want to leave you here, the talk today, with one choice. You always have a choice to make. Always. Which one are you going to take? You can bow to the status quo. You look at it and say, it is what it is. Yeah, that's called comfort zone. That can be your choice. It's okay. Or you have another option. You can challenge it and have a chance of a better tomorrow. My final question to you is this. What's your choice? Thank you.